Gamers, I haven't seen you guys all year. How's it going? How am I feeling today? I'm feeling okay. A little bit of a pain in the neck, but other than that, I'm fine. Yes, this is a new microphone. This is pretty much actually a new everything. New machine, new microphone. I was told the microphone doesn't sound that much different than the one I had before it, which is probably for the best. Yeah, how are you doing? You're doing well? Good. Today's just gonna be a day to catch up. As I said, I haven't seen you guys all year, so just a day to talk about what's coming, relax, and of course, as is said by the title, the Q&A is open. So if you have any questions about anything, by all means, ask away. I'm gonna be swapping between a series of different games. I'm just gonna be starting with my daily stuff for ZZZ. But after that, I'll probably swap to something else. I didn't even notice until it was pointed out. To be honest, that's probably for the best. Seriously, why do people always want Shadow, Knuckles, or an Eggman and almost never Tails? I think that mainly just stems from the fact that the other three characters are more interesting moveset-wise. Shadow is the second most popular character. Knuckles is the character that's like made for fighting games. And Eggman is arguably the second most iconic villain in video game history next to Bowser. So I don't think it's that people don't want Tails, it's just that they want other characters more. Do I think that Tails could work in a platform fighter? I don't see why not. He's been put in a lot of different fan games, and they've shown that he is more than fitting to be a playable character in a game like this. But would I want to see him before like Knuckles or Shadow or Eggman? No.
I'll take it.
I don't even think I'd want to see him before a character like Blaze or Silver. Personally, he's my most wanted alongside Saki Amamiya from Sin and Punishment. What do you think of Rayman in terms of Smash potential? I think Rayman is a character that is basically begging to be a Smash character, and I'm very surprised that he has not been put in the game yet. I don't know if he's like the biggest third-party character yet to be put in. I'd argue that's probably either Eggman or Crash.
I'll take this shift.
Actually, no. I want to be technical. The Slayer's the most iconic video game character, most influential video game character that is yet to be put in the Smash.
This seems like an infestation. Oops, sorry.
What do you think of Espio or Charmy or Vector as a Sonic rep in Smash? I think Espio would be awesome, but the problem is that he's so far down the hierarchy that I don't think a lot of people either expect him or, you know, are thinking about him actively, because there's, again, the problem is that we're 3 Smash games in and there's only one Sonic character. So it's basically who's pining for that second spot. In my opinion, it's more than likely going to be Shadow. I think Shadow makes the most sense to be the next Sonic character.
Huh? Is something the matter?
Eradicate all evil. My blade is ready.
I don't know who those characters too well. What could SBO do? He's essentially a ninja, so he can do a lot of, you know, ninja techniques. He has throwing stars. He can go invisible because he's a chameleon. Have I gotten to play Anton Blast? I have not played Anton Blast yet. And I have played Brawlhalla, but I am not a fan of it. It is easily the weakest of the platform fighters available right now, in my honest opinion. And yes, I've played multiple Rayman titles. I owned Rayman Legends on the Wii U. No, I have not played Anton Blast yet. I also haven't watched anybody play it because I want to play it blind. Honestly, I can't think of any one character I really want in Smash. Most of my picks are just, that would be cool. I'm more interested in improving Varan designs than the improvements. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm somewhat in the same boat. I'm not really looking for characters, I'm more looking for interesting play styles, and I don't really care which character fulfills the niche as long as the niche gets filled.
Wanna be my...
Right, okay.
Wanna see the red?
I'm at your disposal.
Also, Drago is not next. That might have been the plans for last year, but this year things are different.
Okay. Take this.
Take a break.
Vanish. Get back. Better dodge. What a pain. The light is but one step away. At your service.
Take a break.
Awaken.
I'm relatively new to your content. Did you ever make redesigns for existing Smash fighters before? I once made a video about what I do to update Ridley, but no, that's something that I've yet to release, but is going to be happening. And the first character that I am going to cover is Lucario. How would you build a moveset for a character from ZZZ? I'm probably going to explore like several different ways. The main way that I was originally going to do it is the character with assists. So basically you're controlling one character, but you can call in other characters to help you essentially continue combos. There's also the idea of, you know, switching between 3 active characters, but that could potentially be messy. I thought you were going for Ganondorf first. No, Ganondorf is going to be his own thing. I'm not redesigning Ganondorf, I'm just making a brand new Ganondorf. Yeah, he's far past the point of a redesign. You're basically just making a brand new character at that point.
Eradicate all evil.
I'm at your disposal. Thank you for the recognition.
Time for some Joker. Eradicate all evil. My blade is ready.
Iron physical.
Which alias should I use this time?
Did you call me? Let's fire it up. I'll help you win. The lunch is on you.
Wanna see the red scarf?
What made you choose Lycon over every other ZZZ character like Billy Kid, MB, etc.? Well, the original idea was it was going to be the Cunning Hares. But the main reason I went with Lycon is because I felt he was one of the more interesting characters in the way he visually fights. The Cunning Hares more than likely will be the time where I experiment with a full team as opposed to just one playable character. I also think the mechanic of being able to swap between ice kicks and regular kicks by holding down the button is an interesting thing that's not really in Smash yet.
Get back. Victory, the only option.
Did you see Mario Kart 9 is adding snowmobiles during the Switch 2 reveal? I didn't see that. I don't know where you saw that, but I'm interested to see what they do with Mario Kart 9.
It's over.
Say no more.
Move it.
Marvel Rivals has taken up so much of my time as of late, way too high for Human Torch in February. I played a little bit of it. It's not bad. Though I don't know whether or not I'm just getting old or not, but playing that game for like even like 30 minutes at a time gives me a headache.
Don't it? Let's make this quick.
Gotcha now.
The flames follow my flow.
Only champions make history.
Now, you're the prey.
The game is so barren in terms of supports. I agree. As somebody that usually likes to play as a support class, I do think that the game's support classes are not very focused. They try and make the characters do too much, and I think it muddies their design a little bit. Like, for example, I don't think that Rocket Raccoon should be a healer. I like the idea that he's able to buff people that have guns and stuff like that, and he's a character that can buff people, but being able to just heal using, like, Moira's Mouse 2 from Overwatch is just like, nah, I'm good.
The final act begins now.
I find the addition of Professor X very funny. And I know this is probably like bad taste, but I kind of hope he's in like a wheelchair or some kind of mobile vehicle. Because I find the concept of Iron Fist players, the moment they see a person in a wheelchair, frothing at the mouth, immediately like rushing them down. Because that's like the meme in the Marvel Rivals community.
Ready for a
escape.
Hello, boss man. Have you ever played Happy Wheels? No, but I do remember the days when Happy Wheels was extremely popular on YouTube. I used to watch Nova play it all the time. Back when I was in high school. Hard to believe it's been like 15 years. It will most likely be his floating chair from the comics. I still hope that he's not like... I saw some people say like he'll probably be like just like floating via some sort of device. Or there's some runs where he's able to like use his telepathy to make himself float without the need of a wheelchair, and I'm like, please don't do that. I would find it so funny if it's just if you have a teammate who's just a guy in a wheelchair. I hope Nintendo brings back some games like Rolling Western, Puzzle Dragon, and Fossil Fighters. But they've been doing a pretty good job of bringing back some classic titles. I don't know if they're next in line though. If I were to pick one newcomer I'd really like to see is an Advance Wars rep who could fight as a summoner archetype. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I have a feeling that a Advance Wars character is going to be the classic rep of Smash 6. I legitimately do.
Eradicate all evil.
Wanna...
You have my complete support.
You want a glass of nitro fuel?
Let's stir up some trouble.
I only handle technical matters.
I hope they aren't remakes. They have done some nice work with MEO, else I'm getting tired of remakes. Yeah, me too, honestly. A brand new Advance Wars would be nice. Also, hello, Potted Plant. There's a couple of options, but I'm going with Andy since he's the face of the franchise and he has a weapon, a cartoonishly big spanner. I mean, that's fine. I think that most people would expect Andy. I personally would prefer Sammy over Andy because I think she's a visually more interesting character. But that could be the closest thing you get to getting Ash Ketchum in Smash, which would be funny. You'd be able to beat the shit out of Ash Ketchum as Pikachu.
My blade is already sheathed.
Clear out.
Angela Blade, Captain Marvel, Deadpool, Emma Frost, Hitmonkey, Professor X, Spite, Phoenix, Paste Pot P. I have no idea who that is. Colossus, MODOK. Honestly, the character I'm most interested in is MODOK.
The cold is silent.
I don't know why, but I imagine he's going to be a support character, and I hope they do some fun things with him.
Victory. The only option. Watch out. Yeah.
I'll fight your throat out.
Also, I'm glad to see that there are no drop frames and everything is working perfectly smooth, which, compared to the last time I tried this game, is a miracle, because it was very clear that my old machine was not suited to stream this game.
How annoying. Get blood! Take this. Okay.
Position.
The cold is silent.
Time to clean the field.
Okay, boss. Get back.
Also, fun fact, Ellen's voice actress is the same person who is currently voicing Daisy in the Mario games.
I'll make it painless.
Link kind of gets away with already. Wait. For example, Zelda would probably use the Tri-Rod in some fashion, but I don't think her whole moveset will revolve around it. Honestly, I kind of don't want her to use it, but I think she needs some sort of spice going into the next Smash. She's very, she's an objectively very boring character design.
Sure. Now, you're the prey. No escape.
Commence demolition! Mind and body.
I wish I could see a Monster Hunter character in Smash Brothers.
We succumb.
Sadly, I think you can blame Marvel Infinite for the Monster Hunter team not wanting their characters in other media. Which sucks because the Monster Hunter in Marvel Infinite is like one of the greatest character designs that Capcom has ever put out in a versus game. Like, it is legitimately like 9.5 out of 10 flawless. It does so much right. But the biggest problem is that in order to get Monster Hunter into that game, apparently they had to go behind the team's back in order to do it.
I'll handle. Such provocations don't go unanswered. Ready?
It won't hurt for long, I promise. Don't get hit. Here's a taste of the abyss. Hurts, don't it?
Oh, this little one is so cute. I'll just explode. Supporting.
I'd love to see the Barioth. That guy gave me nightmares when I first played World. I don't even remember. Was Barioth in the base version of World? Or was that DLC? I don't remember much about the base version of World because I think that it was basically a ripoff. Because they basically saved a lot of the monsters everybody wanted for DLC. And I'm kind of worried that they're going to do the same thing with Wilds, which is probably the main reason why I'm not excited to pick it up when it comes out, and I'll probably wait until its expansion comes out before I consider picking it up. Had a bit of a breakthrough with a moveset I'm designing. First crack at a heavyweight, so I hope it goes well. I hope it goes well too. Would Sora come back to Smash 6 since Kingdom Hearts 4 is coming soon? Well, I don't think that'd be the reason he comes back. I think that would mainly just stem from the fact that he was, objectively speaking, the most requested character to come to the game in the last 10 years. I guess I'd like to see playable indie reps in Smash, given how big indie development has gone in recent years. I feel that now is kind of the make or break point for a lot of that, if only because of the fact that I feel that if it doesn't happen now, it's never going to happen. Because, realistically speaking, indie games have been a pretty big thing as early on as Smash 4. So I feel that the best time to have done it probably would have been Ultimate, and Ultimate didn't get anything. It got some costumes, but other than that, like, no playable indie characters. So, like, this next game I feel is like make or break. I feel like it's going to be saddening not to hear Martinet voicing Mario, Luigi, Wario, etc. in the Mario Kart 9 Smash 6. There's always a chance that they might reuse the lines from Brawl, and honestly, while I know some people would probably be happy with that, just because they get to keep Martinet as these characters, I kind of would just like it if Sakurai was like, we're going to bring Martinet in to voice the characters. Just because he can, because he's an independent company working with Bandai Namco. And I don't think that Nintendo would say no to letting Martinet voice the characters in Smash. Also, 100%, I don't know how many people do or don't believe this, but the game... He's kinda, sorta, he's the ambassador now. But I could definitely see him coming back to voice Mario in something, if they asked him to. If Smash was really cool, it'd give us the choice of both. Yeah, if only, but sadly, I don't think we're gonna get that option. Though I do think that individual voices being English and Japanese is a very nice setting that would be nice for the next Smash. Simply because I don't want to have to swap every voice to Japanese just to have Marth in Japanese again. Also, yes, there will be a Zenless Zone Zero moveset at some point in the future. Probably multiple characters.
Watch your blind spots.
Take me as fun.
The pressure's off. Let's make this quick.
I'm here.
Gotcha now.
Being happy is what counts.
The heavyweight I'm working on is Gargan from Harmonites, so think heavyweight fighter with rhythm gimmicks.
I can take him.
That also makes me ask a question. We all know that Sakurai loves to revisit old ideas. Is this the point, since we're, objectively speaking, we're kind of starting to run out of characters for him to include? And while a lot of the newcomer choices for Ultimate were pretty good, I do think that there was a little bit too much homogenization between the stats and the abilities of the characters that he included. Is Smash 6 to the point where we finally get to see a rhythm-having character join the game?
How do you like me now?
Watch and learn.
Press the advantage. Here's the taste of the abyss.
What indie games have you played in 2024? I played the Noise DLC for Pizza Tower. I don't know if that counts or not. I didn't play a lot of games in 2024. At least not as many as I wanted to. Most of the games I played in 2024 were mainly just to get footage for the videos that I was covering. I thought you played Balatro. No, that was Joe. Joe got Balatro and he enjoyed it. I probably would enjoy it too, but those games are they melt time. And somebody that's trying to get his work ethic back, I don't know if that's inherently something that I want to put time into, just because I know it might devour a lot of work time. Who do you think is the worst designed Ultimate Newcomer and why? Oh, that's easy. It's Ridley. And that's because they botched a lot of the things that made Ridley interesting. Not really as a means of making him fit, because honestly speaking, I don't think that anything that they cut out would have ruined or made him hard to implement in any way, shape, or form. But probably, yeah, Ridley is the worst designed Newcomer in Ultimate. And no, I haven't played Astrobot. I don't own a PS5. Though I am excited to finally have a chance to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the PC. Banjo's the worst designed DLC in my opinion. I probably agree with you. But since it said Ultimate in general, I included base roster, and I think that Ridley is has a worse design than Banjo does. Do you still think Incineroar is the best designed Ultimate Newcomer? Yes, I do. I think he and Terry are the best designed newcomers in Smash Ultimate. Would you redo your 5 ways to buff Ridley video or wait until rematch? I'd probably just do a video like redesigning him for rematch. I also think that limiting myself to only 5 things is not exactly great. Think about the full picture as opposed to just 5 things. It's probably better.
Get back.
Stand still.
I'm scissors, you're paper. Out of the way. I'm here. Got your back. Let's make this quick.
What do you think is the most likely next Pokemon rep? That entirely depends on what Pokemon is doing this year. They announced Legends EA last year, and we have not heard a thing about it in like a year's time. We're probably going to get more information on it during some sort of Pokemon Direct in February, because that is Pokemon's month. But I think that if we do not see Gen 10 this year, it will more than likely be Meowscarada. Because I'm trying to think of what's the cutoff time for... what is the reasonable expectation for a cutoff time? Because looking at Smash Ultimate, the cutoff time for like potential newcomers was Xenoblade 2. And Xenoblade 2 came out roughly a year before Ultimate did.
Can you resist?
I guess all of this hinges on when when the next Smash is coming.
Take this.
I do not think it's this year. I think that we might hear about it this year. Maybe we get a teaser trailer for it, or they mention that it's in development. But I do not think that we are going to get a Smash 6 in 2025. I think it's much more likely to be released in 2026.
With this power,
A little gift for ya.
It also depends on whether or not they want to go the route of Ultimate, where they announce it close to its release, or they want to go like the way it was with Brawl and Smash 4, where it's announced early and we have like a year and a half of Smash Dojo again. Also, hello, Camp. Hope you're doing well. I hear rumors that people are saying Legends EA is going to be a Switch 2 title. I think it's going to be for both. That makes me a little bit concerned about potential optimization. But it's probably going to be something that comes out for both systems. Smash 6 is probably a year 2 title, being 2026. Switch 2 comes out in the summer of 2027 if it's a holiday release. I think that if I were to give like an expectation of when I think the Switch 2 is going to launch, I think you can expect to see it in September. I think that's probably the safest time. I think that the time the Switch 2 launches is Metroid Prime 4 is going to launch with the Switch 2, in my opinion. I think you'll get Metroid Prime 4, maybe some other first-party Nintendo title, probably Mario Kart 9 at launch. So you get two big games at launch, and then like they'll probably release ZA in November. So you get two big games, and you get a big Pokemon game in November for the holidays. It probably will have a launch cycle very similar to the original Switch. Except it won't launch in March. But yeah, if I were to take a guess, Prime 4 is probably going to release in September. I think we'll likely have a new 3D Mario. That's like big. That's kind of like the big hope, right? We haven't had a big 3D Mario in. It's been almost 8 years. As of October, it will be 8 years since Odyssey. It's kind of nuts to think about. I felt that it might release November because of the holidays. Also, people are saying it might release in July, but I doubt it. Okay, here's a question. Because this is so long ago, I don't remember. How long was between the announcement of the Switch and the release of the Switch? How long was that? If I remember correctly, they announced it in like October of 2016, and it came out in March of 2017. So that's like 5 months. So if they're properly announcing it in April, then the 5 months would be September. I do not think that they would announce it and then release it like a month later. Is it Ozzy 2 or a whole new thing? My bet is that it's a whole new thing. Like, the big hope is that it's like something on par with Galaxy. It was October 2016 release, March 2017. Okay, so that's like, again, like a 5 month gap, give or take. 5 or 6 months. I think that it's safe to say that it's going to launch in either Q3 or Q4 of 2025. You better not be expecting to see this thing around like April or May. I do not think so. I think that also gives them a nice area. Maybe in the summer they can have a Nintendo Direct that's like mainly for games that you can expect to see on the Switch too when it releases. It's so weird to see the next console for me. I got the Switch in early high school and now I'm a junior in college. It's weird how time flies. I can't think of any new Pokemon as a Smash rep, to be honest. Even my favorite Pokemon, Regigigas, is both highly unlikely and probably not that interesting. Again, I think the most likely character, if everything goes the way that I'm expecting it to with Gen 10 not coming out this year, and the cutoff time for stuff to be put into the next Smash being roughly around the end of 2024 and or the very first quarter of 2025, I do not think that Gen 10 is going to get into the next Smash base roster, and that there's a good chance that Meowscarada will still be the front runner for the next Smash. Zacian is a generation too late and not the most popular Pokemon from that generation. If we're going back to Gen 8, then we're going to have to take Cinderace into consideration, who was a main character in the anime, which is something that very, very few Pokemon have ever had the honor of being given. I know the joke is now the Joy-Cons actually drift. Now, but I'm at least hopeful that it gets fixed. I'm not entirely too bent out of shape about it because the chances of me actually using the Joy-Cons are like next to non-existent.
Awaken. Weakling.
I think I'm most interested in the rumored mouse function, like how cool would MP4 Splatoon play with the mouse configuration. I think it would be neat. But chances are very high that they're going to have to find some way to compensate, so even if there is mouse functionality, I don't know if it's inherently going to be the best option, because even in most shooters nowadays, they basically favor console players by giving them an insane amount of aim assist. Do you like visual novels? I don't mind them. I think most of my love for visual novels basically comes from the story modes of BlazBlue, at least the old ones before, when they had English voice acting. I think the only visual novel game I've ever actually sat through is Doki Doki Literature Club.
It's over.
If the rumors about the Switch 2's power is true, I can't wait to see what Monolith Soft is cooking up. I would assume a new Xenoblade of some sort. Maybe an actual sequel to Xenoblade X.
Victory, the only option. Yeah.
I'm hoping Nintendo doesn't just go with Sony's method of remastering every previous gen games. I don't think so. I think that's one of the main reasons why they made the console backwards compatible. It gives people the incentive to know that you know, the games they love are still there and can be played at any time, but we're going to be adding brand new stuff. Just scroll up to see what I may or may not have missed. I think after I'm done with this mode, I'm going to swap games. Also, I don't know what I'd say my favorite moveset from Pizza is, honestly. Planning on doing some time walking. You know, I could. I probably want to try something that's a little bit more intensive that I couldn't stream before. Do you like BlazBlue's story? Is it one of the only good fighting game stories? I think that I think the story is fine. I don't know if I'd say it's the best fighting game story I've ever seen. It is very complicated. There are a lot of moving parts that they don't really tell you a lot about and try to keep the player basically as much in the dark as the main character is. It kind of gets a little bit annoying that there are instances where it's very clear that you are basically being purposely kept from knowing specific things that would help with understanding the story better. Give me your money.
How annoying. Get flushed!
No, that was me. What the? Give me your money. Oh, that was me. Though Joe did just message me to tell me that he may have undercooked his meal. Or... No, you know what? No, I'm not introducing my chat to the hell that is Orf.
Awaken.
Don't look straight at the moon. For you, I'll eliminate any obstacles.
What a pain.
Considering Nintendo is putting out the graphics with all the third-party companies they want to work with, and Epic Games is one of them despite previous fallouts, do you think Jonesy could be in Smash 6? I think it would be very surprising if we do not get anything Fortnite related in the next Smash. I think that it would be awesome if we get Jonesy as a character and that gets to bring in like some locales for stages and stuff like that. And you could do a lot, and I mean a lot, with Mii costumes from Fortnite. But yeah, I think that Jonesy has a pretty good shot. Fortnite is still going very strong, and it has broken like player numbers several times in the last like couple of years. Also, take care, Mart. Hope the Durgan Brawl is good for you.
Take this. Get lost. Let's hurry it up. The light is but one step away.
Can you resist?
I swear on my blade.
Imagine the Fortnite dance in Smash. I think it would be a fantastic BM option. Just imagine a team of just a group of 8 Jonesies just all doing the default dance at the same time. Slightly out of sync so that the music loops 8 different times at 8 different octaves. I know mods have been implemented in regards to the Fortnite dance, but still. I definitely think it's a game that at least needs to be considered. Thing is, I don't know how popular Fortnite is in other parts of the world.
Weakling.
But its popularity in general is just too big to just ignore at this point. During the days of Smash Ultimate, you could make the argument that it was still relatively in its infancy. It was still in its first chapter by the time Ultimate came out. I know we've talked about this already, but other fighting games that you do character concepts for, probably Marvel vs. Capcom. My interest in the series has like come back so hard thanks to the likes of Infinite and Beyond.
Sharknami.
With this power?
What Smash fan game newcomer is your favorite to play as in general? Crystal from Smash Flash 2. I think that she's a very nice and interesting take on a Spacey, while being allowed to be her own character. I also know that she's apparently like one of the top tier characters in the game. At least the last time I checked. Goku is usually a pretty standard character in most crossover games he's a part of. Like I know a lot of people think he'd be like this really big wacky character with all these different abilities, but if you really boil it down, Goku would probably be no more complicated than a character like Ryu or Terry. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of did want to do like an April Fool's moveset for Goku. Just to like honor the passing of Akira Toriyama. And it wouldn't like actually turn into a joke. It would be a real thing, but it's just like put out at a time where it's like, this'll never happen.
Take this.
But this man is legendary and deserves all the respect.
Get back. Take this. Get back. How annoying. Get close. Get loose.
For you, I'll eliminate any obstacle.
Let's hurry it up.
You still plan to do that, right? I mean, yeah, I kind of do want to do it, honestly. But I don't want to promise anything because there's always a chance that things might just fall through the cracks and not get done on time. Which I'm trying to get better at, but sometimes it just happens. What about Ultramarines from the Warhammer series being playable in Smash Bros? That'll be an interesting idea. I 100% support the idea of Warhammer soldiers getting into Smash. I think that'd be hilarious. If only because of the fact that Warhammer is probably one of the furthest things from the quote-unquote good boys and girls ideology that that Sakurai likes to go and have with these games. Yo, I'd love to just have a Warhammer soldier run at Wario on his bike, break straight through it, like run through the bike and like grab Wario and choke slam him into the floor. What is your opinion on Ness's design Smash? I feel like no one talks about him. I think that he's okay. I mean, he's not the greatest. He's not the worst. I think he's a good example of taking from stuff within your game in order to fill out a moveset. I feel Lucas is better, honestly, but that's just me. He definitely is better designed than Ness, if only because he's way more faithful to the game that he comes from. But I also argue that it's also a byproduct that Ness has less to work with than Lucas does. How's the hello, Joe? How's that undercooked meal treating you? Yeah, sorry, I'm just gonna... We're gonna quickly swap to a different game. But yeah, I think Ness is fine. Lucas is definitely better designed, but if it came down to keeping one of them, I more than likely would want to keep Ness instead. What is a character slash playstyle that you want in Smash that you find under-requested? Well, I can't answer about the under-requested because, frankly, I don't really keep up with a lot of what people actually request for, because it tends to go all over the place. But I still think that my most wanted character is the Chosen Undead from Dark Souls. Just a straight down-to-earth spell sword that can do some really cool things when he's given the opportunity to. And, you know, isn't Robin. I have to know this. Would the Goku moveset have anything similar to Dragon Ball FighterZ, or is it completely his own thing? Well, I think it would have to take from a lot of different sources. One of the things I really, really hate about fourth-party characters in terms of moveset design, especially from what I've seen from other people, is that they basically just take stuff that they have in video games. When the idea is that you're working with a character that is whose media is from beyond video games, so you can work with pretty much anything you want. That's why stuff like Brawl Fan's moveset for Spider-Man pisses me off so much, because it's just Insomniac Spider-Man. When you can do so much with Spider-Man beyond just Insomniac Spider-Man. Yeah, at his core, Goku probably would not be a super complicated character to design. In any game, he's kind of like Mario in the sense where any game where he's in a crossover, he's usually a pretty standard all-rounder character who's like good at a lot of different things, good at teaching the player a lot of mechanics of the game, but also being a decent character in his own right with usually very few like glaring weaknesses. Like, that's basically the best way to describe Goku in Dragon Ball FighterZ. Basic Saiyan Goku, not basic Goku. Basic Goku is a little bit more weird. He's not a all-rounder, he's more of a rushdown grappler hybrid, because he's got one of the best command grabs in the entire game. Let me just see what I can pull up. You know what? Maybe some gunfire would be good. I'm gonna try gunfire. I know I've streamed this before, but what the hell? Might as well. Just gonna lower the volume just a little. hang on now. I'm off to do some exercise. Hope everyone has a great day. Hope you have a good one too, boss man. Thanks for stopping by. Hell is this? Okay. Oh, okay. I agree with that. Spider-Man is never going to be in Smash, so why not go all out? I think it's just the concept of, well, that you can say it for any fourth-party character, honestly. Hello, Matt. Hope you're doing well. If I were to make an MB moveset, I'd probably just need to make something up for... Oh, Andy, sorry. Make something up for his side and up special. Well, you know, he always improvise using infantry. Probably use some sort of flying vehicle for his recovery. I'm doing fine, just woke up from a nap. If there's any time to nap, it's definitely on the weekend. Also, I should say that I'm happy to hear that Brawlfan is finally deciding to come back and design movesets. Apparently, this is going to be the year where he finally comes back and gets back into the groove of things, and I'm glad to see that even after all this time, there's still passion to make work. I'm interested to see how much he's learned since the last time he made anything, which was like, I think, December of 2022? Or December of 2021, somewhere around there. 9 p.m. for me, so I should be napping, but I'm a bit of a night owl. I mean, 9 p.m.'s not really much. If it was like 3 a.m., I would probably agree with you. I'll definitely say this. I don't know how many channels this needs to go through in order to get back to him, but I know for a fact that he said that the characters in between 110 and 120 are all characters that use swords. And I think that while, you know, the younger Smash fan base might not be super interested in this and might not request it right away, I think it is inevitable that he is going to have to cover a character from the Soul series at some point. And I legitimately have to say this. If he needs help designing stuff for Dark Souls, I will gladly give my assistance, because that is a series that I'm very attached to. And I know for a fact that that is a series that if he does it poorly, he's gonna have a lot of people breathing down his neck. Whether it's the Tarnished from Elden Ring or somebody else. But yeah, I always said that one thing that he absolutely needs is he needs more people in his think tank, or whatever he calls the group of people that help him design the movesets, or help them like review things to make sure that they stand out good, because they tend to be a bit of a mixed bag, and I think it's very clear that for some things, the people that he's working with either don't know enough about it, or just not enough time is put into it. What is a good character splash art tagline for SBO? I'm feeling like making an SBO moveset. Well, I don't think that's something you need to worry about right away. Usually something like that is one of the last things that you put together for a character. I've been trying to get back into making movesets, but I only just took the time to do modeling and uni work. Now, Jimbo, I have a question, and this is just a hypothetical, but, say I'm looking to have a model made for something very specific. How much do you think you would pay in order to make it happen? Just to make my life easier. Working on Up B, something between Rob's Up B and Sentinel's flight mode from MVC. I'm very surprised there's no character in Smash that has a quote-unquote flight mode yet. I think there are several characters you could easily make an argument for that would work. $20 is $20. I think I'd want to pay him more than $20. That kind of stuff is not... That stuff is very, consuming in terms of time. Which Smash design do you think is the most overhated? Like everyone else wants it gone, but you're fine with it. Okay. You're not gonna like the answer. Sonic. Mario's also up there, but I think it's Sonic. Oh fuck, I wasn't paying attention. Well, I'm dead. I have a commission set up which costs up to 38 euros for a 3D model. So say hypothetically, I were to draw you a concept for a model. Do you think you would be able to make a model out of the concept that I draw for you? And this is specifically for a character that has been in development hell for a long time. Who hates Mario's moveset? I don't think it's that people hate Mario's moveset. I just think that they probably find it a little bit too, outdated. To which I say, it really isn't. Mario's toolkit hasn't really changed very much in the past, like, forever. We're coming up on 30 years of Mario 64, and not much has changed since then if you really think about it. If the workload in uni isn't too much, then I can try. I may have to message you about it then, because it would be something very special, and you would definitely get full credit for helping bring the creation to life. Don't tell me you think Sonic having 2 spin dashes for special moves is acceptable. Well, the thing is that people focus on the wrong things for Sonic, and he's often... The worst of Sonic's problems are not his fault. And objectively speaking, redoing a Sonic moveset would not fix the majority of his problems. Like, people just magically think that if he had some moves from Sonic Battle, he would be a perfectly fine character. When if you look at the movesets that people have made for mods and stuff like that, they all suffer from the exact same problems as regular Sonic. Nothing is actually fixed. Sure, he's a more visually interesting character to watch fight, but other than that, he's still a fucking problem. It's the speed. He can engage in combat. Exactly, he can engage in combat whenever he wants. And Sonic is essentially what I like to describe as the... Not only one of the biggest examples of problems with modern Smash design, but also a perfect example of Occam's razor, which is basically the simplest answer to a problem is almost always the correct one. The problem with Sonic is that the simplest answer to solving every single one of his problems is his speed and basically running away. There is no incentive for Sonic's player to actually play the game against the person he's fighting against. He is so fast, he is a character that can play the game in pretty much any type of playstyle. But the worst part is that it makes a ton of sense for that to be... That is very in character for Sonic. a character that annoys people by basically being so fast that they can't hit him. That is literally Sonic. So I don't think that Sonic should be punished because the game lets him play that way. I think that the game should be balanced so that people can deal with him. Because you kind of run into this weird muddy area where if you take too much away, it's not Sonic anymore. But if you let him have too much, then basically nobody can contend with him. And yes, I still stand by the fact that Sonic is the best character in Ultimate. The only real weakness that Sonic has as a character is human error. Maybe his initial dash should be slower. His games are always about building and maintaining speed, not just fast. Well, kind of, sort of. Again, I don't think it would... If you make him feel too slow, he's not Sonic anymore. That's another thing that needs to be kept in mind. If you make him feel too sluggish, like he has to build momentum, it's not Sonic anymore because he doesn't feel fast. If he doesn't feel fast, it's not Sonic anymore. And I think this is a perfect example of homogenizing everything down to only characters being able to run, with there being no additional movement options in the game, is just harmful for the entirety of the game. Because I guarantee you that if characters had alternate ways of moving around the stage that maybe Sonic's not good at, like for example, his high traction would more than likely mean his wave dash would be terrible. If characters had wave dashes, they could deal with Sonic's speed a lot better. I like to think of it like in the same vein as like Akuma in Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Objectively speaking, Akuma is the fastest character. He has the fastest walk, he has one of the fastest dashes, but when you compare him to the other characters in the game, he might not seem like the fastest because there's so many ways for characters to move around. So instead of just giving a character the fastest speed, characters can fly. There's wave dashing, and every character has different levels of wave dashing. Some characters have really good ones, some of them have really terrible ones. Like, for example, Zero's wave dash is fucking garbage, but he's usually considered a pretty fast character. Give characters more ways to interact with their screen space instead of just limiting them to running. And I guarantee you, Sonic's speed will not be as overbearing if you do that. He'll still be the fastest character in the game, objectively speaking, and his speed will be so good that he'll basically have an alternative to having to use the wave dash. But give characters more things to work with. Sonic should not be punished for the problems of modern Smash design. Maybe I'm just bad at the game, but I think some of Sonic's moves should be more punishable on whiff or block because it feels like a lot of his moves are too safe. Well, I don't know if they're inherently safe, because if you really look at Sonic's like frame data, he's not exactly the fastest character. Like, compared to characters like Fox, Sonic's frame data is notably worse. The thing that makes Sonic hard to deal with is his ambiguity. Now, more along the lines of the fact that he's so fast, and again, characters have very limited options to deal with the speed, that at some ranges, moves like Spin Dash are basically next to impossible to react to. But again, I don't think that's Sonic's fault. That's the game's fault. Should everyone have a DMC styled air dash? No, just bring back wave dashing. You will solve so many problems if you just bring back wave dashing. Give characters more ways to interact with screen space. If you do that, then these problems won't be problems anymore. It will just be Sonic is the best at this very specific thing, but when it comes to other mobility options, he's not the greatest. So instead of using the other mobility options, he just uses raw speed. And I think a character that's so fast that they don't need to use wave dashing is an interesting concept. It also helps make Sonic stand out more in a healthy way. And then from there, you can go about giving him a brand new moveset with new fun things from games. I know people are like, we wanted to be like Sonic Battle, and the funny thing is that if you really look at Sonic's moveset in Sonic Battle, Sonic's moveset in Sonic Battle is complete and utter garbage. When people say they want stuff from Sonic Battle, they want like 3 moves. They want Sonic Eagle, they want his windmill kick, and they want the breakdance spin. Nothing else. And I feel that people that are adamant about Sonic being from Sonic Battle do not know what he's like in Sonic Battle. I feel that's the case for a lot of characters in the Sonic series. I'm very surprised that I didn't get any complaints about my Shadow moveset not being very Sonic Battle centric. Like very, very little from Sonic Battle is even considered for that moveset. And there's no move that is directly one-for-one referenced either. One attack has a name reference, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, Sonic in Sonic Battle is a weird fucking character. He's got the cool breakdance spin, he's got the windmill kick, but he's also got, like, he can set up mines. He can shoot projectile shockwaves from his spin dash. And arguably the only other interesting thing that I think they could add to Sonic from Sonic Battle is the Lightspeed Dash. The way Lightspeed Dash is handled in Sonic Battle is legitimately super interesting, and nobody ever mentions it for Sonic in Smash. And it could be a nice, interesting way of making homing attack more interesting and, less obnoxious to deal with. Where he throws a ring at somebody, and when it hits them, it basically marks them, and if they're close enough, he'll basically home in on them and attack them. That's how the Lightspeed Dash worked in Sonic Battle. And it's legitimately the best implementation of that attack in any third-party media. Nobody's ever, and I mean ever, considered it for Smash. when it is legitimately a fantastic option. I would more than likely, if I ever do get around to redesigning Sonic, I would probably try to design his homing attack in the same way I did Shadow's in my moveset. Where maybe he can homing attack, but he can instead do the light speed dash, where he throws out a ring, hits somebody, and then makes it so that the homing attack is almost guaranteed to hit the person the next time he uses it. Which can allow for combo potential and something along those lines. Like, a lot of people don't realize it, but Shadow is kind of a difficult character to get right because he's basically the only other character in the entirety of Smash potential newcomers that has to deal with the problem of Sonic. And by that I mean, you have to deal with the Occam's razor of the speed always being your best tool and giving the player the incentive to actually use your speed for offense instead of continuous defense. There is nothing in Smash right now that incentivizes that for Sonic. Rip. For 100 copper spent. If you bring over 500 copper to the next stage, the excess part will be spent automatically. That's pretty good, but that's pretty rough at the same time. You know what? Fuck it. I hate that I sometimes come up with cool ways of using mechanics that currently don't exist. Well, that's kind of that's the fun of designing, honestly. It's all about making cool things, even if it doesn't exist yet. Like, I make it a mandate to always make the characters that I cover look their best. I don't want the character to feel underwhelming. I want the character to feel like they are at their best. While at the same time, you know, being balanced for a fighting game. Most importantly, I always want to make sure that my characters have soul. Which is sad. It's sad to say, but that's kind of a very rare thing to see nowadays. There are very few moveset makers out there nowadays that feel like they're putting soul into their work. Which is why I usually encourage people when they're making movesets to work with things that they enjoy, because the chances of them putting the soul into their work is much higher than something if it's something they don't enjoy. Treat the character with respect. And I think that's like another big thing that I don't see a lot of people really do either. That's definitely the thing I'm interested in seeing with Brawl fans return to moveset creation. Because I don't know whether or not it's just time allotted or what have you, or maybe just not having the know-how, but it doesn't feel like a lot of his movesets have soul. Even the stuff that he likes, strangely, just doesn't feel like there was a lot of soul put into it. Which is why I'd like to see if... I know that he's probably going to remake some of the older movesets that he's made first. Like, chances are high, Papyrus and Sands are probably going to be one of the first. Something like Eggman might be one, like, around there too. I want to see him redesign characters like Zidane. Like, characters that he said he has a super, like, high attachment to and he chose himself. Because I think that those are the places where he should show the most passion, and I didn't feel it. Souls is probably how I describe current Olimar too. I feel you could also say that for several characters in Smash. Olimar is probably one of the worst, simply because, like, there literally is nothing to his character. When in the actual games, there is a ton to his character that is not being realized. The Eevee moveset felt AI generated. I just think that I don't think it was AI generated. I just feel like it didn't. There wasn't enough time put into it. That's something I want to see going forward. I mean, no more. Don't worry about trying to appease the algorithm anymore, BJ. Your 2 years of not doing content have basically thrown you out of it. So, if you can't focus on the algorithm, maybe focus on the quality. Or, if you want to get movesets out at the same pace you had when you were doing them beforehand, maybe, I don't know, bring people on that can review your work. Like, get more people in your friend group that know a lot about the character you're covering, that might be able to fill in gaps that you might not be able to because you're not as familiar with the character. Like me, no. Again, I'd gladly help out if it was for stuff like Dark Souls, and I know for a fact that he's gonna have to do one eventually. It's inevitable. He's done over 100 characters at this point, and I'm very surprised that... Actually, no, I'm not surprised. The Chosen Undead didn't really become a decently popular request until, like, the very, very end of Smash Ultimate speculation cycle. And even then, I'd say it's still pretty niche compared to a lot of other third-party characters. So I can understand why there hasn't been anything from the Soul series yet. But given Elden Ring's popularity, I think it's inevitable that it's going to happen at some point. I don't know if it's going to be the Chosen Undead, or the Tarnished, or the Ashen one from Dark Souls 3, or the Bloodborne Hunter. You're going to get a Souls character out of BJ at some point. A Soulsborne character, to be more specific. Honestly, I see a lot of what I'd call brawl Pokemon trainer syndrome, where people just add stuff to the design, even if it's harmful, purely because it's more faithful to the home series. Yeah, a little bit. Honestly, I feel like it hasn't been as bad recently. The Binding of Isaac moveset had such shoehorned in references. Yeah, I can definitely tell that moveset was a byproduct of being rushed. That moveset was very rushed. It is very apparent. As I think was kind of clear by how much was actually unlocked. I also think that the fact that he gave the game, that in the comment section for the video, somebody asked what he thinks of the game, and he gave it like a 6 out of 10, and I'm like, that tells me that you probably haven't done very much with it. And I still stand by the fact that the reason he didn't make Isaac's costumes the other playable characters is more than likely because of the fact that he didn't unlock them at the time. I think the only character he had unlocked was Azazel, who is pretty easy to unlock, honestly, and nobody else. Honest to God, that's a moveset I would gladly help him remake, because as somebody with a complete Binding of Isaac Repentance file, I can probably at least help with footage. Even if I do think that it's a little bit ridiculous that he makes the game black and white. A lot of the Pokemon trainer moves that are too specific and rigid. I just think that a lot of people don't really get what made Pokemon trainers such a good character design. Or at least good design in Ultimate. Like, a lot of people just seem to think that it's just, oh, we can just put 3 Pokemon together and it just works. Like, we'll just have a small one, a medium-sized one, and a big one, and it'll all work out. And if you really think about it, it doesn't. I think one of the biggest things that harms these designs is synergy. Like, sure, you put 3 Pokemon together, but, like, how well do they work together? Is there any incentive to try and use 2/3 of the character? Do I get anything from using the other 2 characters in the moveset? Now, it's not to say that you have to use all 3 Pokemon Trainers moveset to be successful, because you can just play Squirtle, Ivysaur, Charizard on their own and still succeed. But the character is inherently designed for you to constantly swap between the 3 to succeed in different scenarios where one character might struggle. What do I think of the Musashi moveset? I have not seen it. Oh, fuck. Sorry, my throat is dry. I have not seen it. I do know that is the last one that Brolfan did before taking the big break. Also, while I do think that it is admirable that he went back and made thumbnails for all of his past movesets and is still in the process of doing so, I think that if he was ever going to plan to go back to these characters, he probably should have started at a point that he felt was good enough for these characters, where he felt his movesets were good enough that they weren't going to get recreations. Like, for example, if he's going to remake Dr. Eggman, I don't think he should have done a thumbnail for Dr. Eggman, because now he's probably going to have to do a second one for Dr. Eggman, when he could have just had the old one be the standard thumbnail and the current design he has for the old one be the thumbnail for the new one. Any character that he planned to redesign should not have gotten a new thumbnail. I'm not familiar enough with Eggman to imagine what his moveset and playstyle would be like. Well, don't worry. In my honest opinion, not a lot of people have. And I think that mainly stems from the fact that Eggman can be taken in so many different ways. And objectively speaking, I don't think that people take him as far as they should. Like, you could put him in the Eggmobile, you could put him in the Egg Walker, but both of those designs are inherently limited in what they can do. I also don't think that Eggman turning into a compendium of all of his creations from the past is a good design for a character that constantly shows, even in the Sonic games themselves, that when one design doesn't work, he almost always comes up with a new way to use the design again. Like, for example, in the Sonic Advance series, the first Sonic Advance has him use a hammer tank. And this vehicle basically is a tank with treads, and instead of a hammer, and it just has a hammer that goes back and forth, at a fixed range. So, when that fails, what did he do? He made a more compact vehicle that could alter the range of the hammer. And then, when that didn't work, what did he do next? Oh, the hammer is the dangerous spot. So if I put the cockpit on the hammer, Sonic will be less incentivized to get close enough to hurt me, therefore making my machine much harder to destroy. Like, there are familiar weapon types that the Eggman uses. Drills, flames, spikes, stuff along those lines, that's fine. But he almost always brings them back in unique ways. And I think that the best way to design Eggman is you need to give him something brand new for Smash. If Eggman knows he's going to be dealing with more than Sonic, chances are very high he's not going to rely on something that he used in the past. And that's kind of been the main reason why he's like the king of rewrites. Like, the character is very hard to make a definitive design for. I definitely think that he should have a unique mech. Maybe you can bring back abilities from previous games, but don't just make him be like he uses the hammer from the vehicle and he does it the same way and it's boring. Like, do something unique and interesting with it. One thing I'd want for Eggman is for Sage and or Metal Sonic to show up in his victory animations. I feel Sage is a pretty safe choice. I think you could make Sage show up along with Orbot and Cubot. Metal Sonic, I feel, would probably be saved for his own character. And I'm not gonna lie, the interest in doing a Metal Sonic moveset has been growing. And now that I've done one Sonic character, I'm going to be constantly asked to do every Sonic character ever. But I do want to do movesets for... Eggman is going to happen. Eggman's been a thing that's been in development for a while. It's just going about presenting the moveset that I have in mind is the most difficult thing. You're gonna be asked to do Mecha Sonic. Well, Mecha Sonic's not as interesting as Metal Sonic. And honestly, a lot of the ways that I've seen Metal Sonic be done isn't very interesting either. Because I kind of think that people don't really seem to understand what it means by Metal Sonic being a copy robot. Like, I know that, like, his big thing that a lot of people love to implement in his movesets, at least what I've seen from, like, multiple sources, is that, oh, he can copy the data of the person he's fighting, and this, some reason, lets him use different special moves. Wouldn't it make more sense for it to simply just be a stat buff while giving him a more fixed set of specials that could be used for any situation? Like, the idea isn't that he's copying their data and he's able to do what they do, at least not in every scenario. The thing about Metal Sonic is that he essentially is copying their best aspects and allows him to, and in turn allows him to do things in somewhat the same vein as other characters. Like, he can copy Knuckles' strength. He can copy Shadow's chaos control. I think the idea of copying from Metal Sonic should be he's taking the best aspects of the character he's fighting and turning it against them. So if he's fighting a character that's fast, he takes their speed aspect and becomes even faster. He's fighting a character that's strong, he takes their power and uses it against them. I also think that the inclusion of special moves being based on copying your opponent, while also being too close to Kirby, for one, I don't think that I don't really think it meshes very well with Metal Sonic's design as a character. I know that Shadow, Knuckles, Eggman, Metal Sonic, Metal or Tails again before her, but I kind of want to see what Blaze would bring. Blaze is my most wanted Sonic character for Smash. I think that she is a character that deserves to be in more Sonic games in general and could bring a lot of interesting things to the table. It just sucks that she is a character that's so far down on the hierarchy. She's my number 2 behind Eggman. Eggman would probably be my number 2. Probably tied with Shadow. My only real concern is how they would handle Shadow. Because as I previously mentioned, he's like the only character other than like Metal Sonic that has to deal with the potential issue of running into the same problems as Sonic does. That was the hardest part of designing Shadow's moveset, was coming up with a concept for a character that was almost as fast as Sonic, in some ways faster because of his teleportation, and using that for offensive purposes instead of constantly running away. It also doesn't really mesh with Shadow's personality to run away from a fight. So that also needs to be something that needs to be taken into account. Also, I'm going to say something in relation to Sonic characters, and I know a lot of people in the Smash community are not going to like this and would not agree. Almost got killed because of it. Sonic the Fighters is a better reference for character moves than Sonic Battle is for most characters from the Sonic series. It is a better reference point. It is a better designed fighting game than Sonic Battle is, and by extension, the moves given to each character fit better. I would much rather have Knuckles, if he's playable in the future, take after his appearance in Sonic the Fighters than his appearance in Sonic Battle. Oh look, it's my favorite weapon in the game. The brick. What about Amy? I'd argue that out of a lot of the characters in Sonic Battle, Amy is probably one of the better designed ones. I don't think that she should be pulling out boxing gloves. I think that that's a little dumb. But some of her hammer attacks could definitely be made into moves in Smash. Amy is also a character that I feel has a lot of potential that people don't really give her. And part of that's probably a byproduct of how like mistreated she is in a lot of current media for Sonic. Brick. 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 People with nut allergies when I hit them in the head with a brick. I love this weapon so much. Just chuck bricks. I meant in terms of Sonic the Fighter, since you brought it up. I agree about what you mentioned. Actually, yeah, now that you mention it, Amy is in that game. I'd say somewhat. Maybe not to the extent of someone like Knuckles, but I definitely think there are things from Sonic the Fighters that she could take. The concept of shrinking people with her hammer, though, is stupid and would basically be extremely unfun to fight against. So, none of that. Brick. Brick. Brick by brick. It's so satisfying. You just hit them in the face with a brick. 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 What is your opinion on Silver in Smash? I think that Silver is a great character that could be a very fun fighting game character if they keep him in line with his personality from the games and less so whatever the fuck they did to him in IDW comics. I'd love if Blaze's home stage was the Deadline space station, the one with the view of Earth in the background. That'd be fun. Her island from Rush Adventure is always an option too, because I guess that is technically her realm. Frick. Frick. Stop it. How would you design Waluigi? I designed him to be a trickster character that tries to nickel and dime his opponent with various tricks, but his tricks can be used against him if he's not careful. Waluigi more than likely will get a Challenger Concept DX at some point, but chances are very high that his design is going to be very similar, just with updated visuals. And that's basically that I want to keep him in line with tennis, because that is where he came from. He should use a tennis racket as his main weapon. And his big thing, like his big central mechanic, is that he starts to fall too far behind in a match. He just starts to fucking cheat. Something along the line, you could add stuff like, oh, his perfect shield turns into a counterattack. He can't clang with characters. If he clangs, he immediately gets the upper hand by, like, kicking them in the face. His special moves get different properties to them. I believe the mechanic's name was Sore Loser, and that's exactly what I imagine Waluigi would be like, because that's pretty much him in every piece of media he's ever been in. Thinks everybody's cheating, and even if they're not, that incentivizes him to be like, oh, if everybody's cheating, you know what, I'll just cheat too. There's so many crabs. Excellent. I think you would get a variety of different traps. Would those be easy to counter if the opponent sees it coming? Well, I think the idea would be that the moves, his special moves would get more powerful effects, but there would be more chance for it to blow up in his face. So the strengths are increased, but the downsides are also increased as well. Also, you can clip this. I'm going to say this right now. Waluigi, I think, is one of the only characters I can think of right now that is guaranteed to be in the next Smash playable. And the reason I say that is because of the fact that Waluigi is the only character I can think of in recent memory that Nintendo has ever come out to say, oh god, we didn't realize people love this character so much. We'll definitely keep this in mind for the future. So I definitely think that like tells me, oh yeah, Waluigi is going to be playable in the next Smash. 100%. He is the only character I can think of where Nintendo has actually realized and said, wow, we didn't realize that people like this character so much. Can't do anything right now, but we'll definitely keep it in mind for the future. And that just tells me, okay, he's going to be playable in the next Smash Brothers. Not to mention, Mario's a really big thing right now. You got Mario Land, you got the Mario World in Universal. You've got the Mario movie that came out a couple of years ago. Mario is a very hot topic right now. And especially if we consider the fact that if we are to believe that the project that Sakurai is working on is indeed the next Smash, which I think most people will agree that it is. And those statements were made around the time where the proposal for the next Smash was being written by Sakurai, if all of this is to be believed and the next game that he's working on is Smash. Yeah, I think his chances are pretty goddamn high. What game is this? This is called Gunfire Reborn. It's essentially a roguelike shoot 'em up that has a lot of elements brought in from Borderlands with different types of weapons that you can pick up. A lot of different weapons. For example, brick. Plays different characters. They'll have the unique effects. They all have unique abilities. It's very fun. It's also very cheap right now because I believe it's soon going to be celebrating its 5th anniversary, somewhere around there. The point is that I believe this game is on sale right now, and all of its DLC is also on sale. So it's more than worth the price. Hope Dr. Mario returns and they make him a little faster. If Dr. Mario returns, I think it's mainly just a byproduct of there being enough time. One of the nice things about this next Smash's development cycle is that it's seemingly a hell of a lot less hectic. And by that I mean, the last two Smash games, if you really think about it, their development time was like strained by some outside force. And with Smash 4, it was the 3DS. The 3DS ruined a lot of things, in my opinion, for Smash 4. And with Ultimate, it was mainly just the fact that it came out so soon after Smash 4. And considering the fact that the proposal for Smash 6 was written up before Kazuya was out, kind of makes me a little bit worried in terms of gameplay. Because one thing that I have to say about Smash is that I feel it's starting to become the it's starting to fill the same role in with Nintendo's franchises that Paper Mario once did. And by that I mean Paper Mario was basically a franchise that it felt like the developers had no intention of ever listening to anything anybody says. When they were told very basic things that a lot of people had been saying over the years, they were genuinely surprised. They also went into projects before the old one was even finished, so any feedback they had on their current project was basically lost. And I think that's kind of a problem with a lot of Smash in general now that I think about it. Sakurai's need to prepare things so far in advance, I think, has harmed Smash in some spots more than it's helped it. And I think one spot that's definitely the case is feedback on just anything to do with the game and the way it plays. It has caused a notable disconnect because people were fucking pissed off to hear that they basically went into Color Splash immediately after Sticker Star, so any feedback on Sticker Star was basically lost. I feel like we've been doing that with Smash for like 15 years. Considering the naturally smaller roster, well, here's the thing. We don't really know what Sakurai is planning to do with the roster. I think the reboot thing is out of the question because I don't think people understand how much of a risk a reboot would be for Smash. Like, so much about Smash already works, and we have already had games in the past that show that you don't need to reinvent the wheel to make Smash a good game. What Smash needs, it needs its own 1,000-Year Door remake scenario, where the developers actually listen to what people are asking for and act upon it in some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying we need a remake of Melee. That's not what I'm looking for. But I definitely think that there should be somebody that makes it abundantly clear that there are mechanics in these games that people love, are clearly shown to work, and are constantly put into any and all like third-party platform fighters. I also think that you can have stuff like wave dashing in a Smash game without sacrificing any sort of casual aspect of the game, because you're gonna tell me that people didn't play Melee? casually with 4 people with items on? Of course they did. But just because they did doesn't mean that there wasn't more there for people that want to invest more time into it. And I think the homogenization of a lot of stuff in Ultimate was ultimately bad for the game. My most wanted addition is command inputs on more characters, like Spinning Kong would be DP input, and DK gets a new up special too. I think it's kind of funny that this game is based on Kirby, but Kirby nowadays has more complicated inputs than Smash does. Part of me wants to agree, because I do think that the inclusion of command inputs would allow you to add more to a character without taking anything away. But on the other hand, I do think that some characters having it makes it more interesting. Like, I think the fighting game characters having it adds a lot to their character design by making them feel more faithful to their original creation. I just think that they need to give characters more things to do. And there are ways you can do it without putting in command inputs. Like, you want an idea? Like, for example, let's go with Mario, because a lot of people like to call Mario poorly designed for one reason or another that doesn't make any sense. What if Mario was a character that had unique movement options as his main thing? Like, what if he had like a shield special that was like the long jump or something along those lines? Something that would give him a little bit more of an interesting play style while also adding on to the fact that he is a platforming mascot. Not to mention, a lot of the awesome platforming stuff you can do in games like Odyssey are not really present in current Mario. And I would much rather see Mario doing interesting platforming stuff than just getting new moves. It would also be a super great way to teach players how important it is, like how important screen space is and how important movement is in a game like this. There's very little about Mario that I actually want to change. I think pretty much every single one of his normals is fine. I think his special moves are a good blend of offense and defense, and they teach the player a lot about several different things. The only thing that I would probably do is take off Flood, give him Cappy Toss as a mobility option that adds onto his platforming elements, and put the cape on down special. Just because of the fact that a lot of reflex and or utility options are mapped to down special. And I think that while cape is a very versatile utility option, it does a decently bad job of telling players that your utility options are almost always on your down special. That's my only real issue with Mario, is that the order in which his attacks are laid out are not the greatest. I probably should have kept that. That would have been good. Alright, final boss time. it's just a personal thing, but I'm not a fan of putting movement options on shield special because you have to fully stop, bring up your shield. I prefer shield specials to be defensive options, but that's just my opinion. That's perfectly fine. Oh, so hello, Isaac. Haven't seen you in a while, man. How's it going? I also think that's perfectly fine. You could argue it could be somewhat of a defensive option. But the main reason I say shield special for long jump is that the way you perform the long jump in Mario games is fairly similar to the input of a shield special. Going good. Just had a lot on my plate. Yeah, it's understandable. The last half of the year is almost always busy for everybody in at least some fashion. And he's dead. I think triple or long jump could be inputs with the jump button rather than a special, like timing your landings with jump gives you triple jump with shield, while shield or crouch and jump does the long jump. That's definitely also another option. Oh, sorry, thumb. Audio bug. One interesting idea I saw was that Snake could attach a C4 when you grab an opponent with the special button. Honestly, if Snake comes back, that'd be a very, very interesting way of advancing his playstyle. And I'm all for it. My only concern about command inputs is that I don't know if you could get every character one. Fox, for example. I don't think you would have to give every character one. I think for some characters it would be fine. Or hell, what if it doesn't even need to be like command inputs in the case of like quarter circle forward, half circle back, whatever. What if it's like more simple in stuff like back forward or up down, like they did, like more stuff like Terry's rising tackle instead of it being a charge move. You get like a big attack with Fox in the air where he does like a big cartwheel kick. I know some mod out there for Ultimate did that for Fox. But I definitely think that going forward, they need to think of more ways to add things to characters without, you know, potentially giving them more buttons. I don't think they should give them more buttons. Yeah, also not every character having command inputs helps keep off the homogenization, and that is a huge problem in my opinion with Ultimate, is that there's way too much homogenization. I'm a little touchy about using back inputs because most characters will just turn around if you input the opposite direction. Yeah, I wouldn't put back inputs on anyone that doesn't have automatic turnaround. I do think that there are a couple of non-fighting game characters that should have automatic turnaround though. For example, I think that Little Mac should have automatic turnaround. I find there to be no instance where a boxer should not be facing his opponent in one-on-one fights. Anybody that's watched any sort of boxing will tell you that there's never an instance where you ever have your back to your opponent. And if you give Lil Mac the automatic turnaround, how about pressing A and B at the same time, doing something different? That is an option. I never really liked that it turned into the smash attacks, honestly. But yeah, I think Lil Mac would benefit highly from the inclusion of automatic turnaround. Give him some more moves that focus around weaving in and attacking. And more importantly, find a definitive type of boxing style that you want him to have. Because one of the biggest issues I have with Lil Mac as a character in Smash is that he is a boxer that is so well designed in some spots, and in others he is so unbelievably badly designed. And I don't even mean his jumps. Punch-Out is half fighting game anyways. That's true, it is. And you are always facing your opponent in Punch-Out. I just hope that there was enough room in between the DLC season of Smash Ultimate and the proposal for Smash 6 that there was any room for potential feedback to get through. Because it's kind of starting to become really fucking frustrating about how much it feels like our voices do not matter as players. Now granted, a lot of players for Smash say some really stupid shit, and ask for some really stupid shit too. But I do not think that I think that some stuff has to be taken into account. And I'm gonna switch games. Another option is to add aerial smash attacks. I definitely think that's something that maybe a character... I don't know if that's a thing that every character should be able to do, but I think that maybe that can be a mechanic for a future character. Or, you know, for a redesign for some characters, like maybe... The character that immediately comes to my mind of having aerial smash attacks is I think Ridley should have aerial smash attacks. Ridley needs more aerial stuff because he's way too ground oriented currently in Smash, and I do not like it. If anything, I could see a gameplay overhaul being a selling point of a new game, barring it's just Ultimate, but again. The worst part about Ultimate selling well is that there is a very, very high chance that Nintendo is basically going to strong-arm Sakurai into making it as similar as possible. And by that, I mean we're going to be focusing on the roster instead of the single player content and the gameplay overall and stuff along those lines, I feel is going to end up being a byproduct of Ultimate becoming the best selling fighting game of all time. Because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And while it objectively is broken in some ways, to the sales team, I don't think they really care. That's my biggest worry about the next Smash, is that it's basically going to learn nothing from the problems of Ultimate. Simply because of the fact that Ultimate just was the biggest fucking thing in the world when it came to the Smash series. I don't think it means that the next Smash is going to be a remaster. I think that that's kind of pointless, considering the fact that you can just play Smash Ultimate on Switch too. And that's also something that's probably going to lead to a lot of issues developing this new Smash, because the constant statement of people can just go back and play this game on our console. There needs to be a reason for people to buy this new game. And I guess in some cases that'd be the new characters. Which, again, just leads to issues with the focus being on the roster and not in a lot of the other places that people have been dying, literally screaming out in agony about for like 2 decades at this point. I just want you to think about that. In 3 years, Brawl is going to be 20 years old. And it's getting kind of hard to be interested in Smash Brothers when they're not. It doesn't really feel like they're interested in taking steps forward. I do not think we're going to get announcements anytime soon. I saw some people thinking that you're going to get a Smash announcement at the same time as like the lineup for the Switch 2, or that Smash 6 is going to be a launch title for the Switch 2. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind, bro. No way. Not a chance. That would be an even shorter time span between announcement and release than Ultimate. And I feel we need more time to potentially state problems that people have with this game before, so that they can patch it out or fix things before release. I think that's one of the biggest things that I want from the next Smash, is I want there to be beta tests. And I mean actual beta tests, like they did for Street Fighter 6. There should be one early on so that people have an idea of what to expect, and then there's enough room that things can get fixed. I want there to be more communication between the development team and us. Yes, and also beta tests do help get the word out. I think one design that gets too much flack is DK. Everyone makes him out as being super outdated when in reality his special moves are just kind of bland and everything else is fine. I agree. I think the only thing that really needs to change about DK is his special moves. But other than that, he's pretty much fine the way he is. Oh, and give him his voice. Give him his actual Donkey Kong voice. which I feel like they kind of fucking have to do at this point. I think we're at a point where Mario and Mario adjacent franchises are so big that they have to give the characters voices. Like, I do not think that Bowser's going to be sounding like a dragon in Smash 6. I think that Bowser's going to sound like Bowser. At least Bowser's going to sound like Bowser. Because of the feedback of the Mario movie and how big that movie was. What do I launch? Give us the laugh at the very least. It's kind of sad that when you really think about it, the fans have had no impact on anything changing in Smash. Anything that has ever changed in Smash is a byproduct of the development team for the game, for the character, telling Sakurai to change something. But the feedback of the fans is never even remotely considered. It doesn't matter that the fans have basically stated for pretty much since their inception that Donkey Kong and Bowser need to sound like themselves. The only thing that I think is stopping Bowser from sounding like himself is if, like, Miyamoto stepped in and said, "Can you make Bowser sound like Bowser?" Or Nintendo says, "This is a big character that people now know from the movies. Can you make Bowser actually sound like Bowser?" And a Bowser's Castle stage while you're at it too, yeah. Another thing that I'm surprised just doesn't exist in Smash this far into the series. Like, I hate that, like, my voice as a Smash, as a fan of the games, is basically next to non-existent. There was sort of a Bowser Castle in that Paper Mario stage. That's true. And it's kind of sad that that's the only thing from both Paper Mario and Bowser's Castle adjacent content that's ever actually been in a playable state in Smash. Yeah, it only half counts. Also, yeah, Pac Maze got cut for Pac Land. There's a lot of things that just scream that the developers are very tone deaf of what the fans are actually looking for. Now, granted, I don't think that they should listen to everything the fans say, because, again, Smash fans love to say a lot of stupid shit and ask for equally stupid shit in return. But I think that there's a lot of common sense things that just make sense to be in the game already. Like the voices of Bowser and Donkey Kong, of Bowser's Castle stage, stuff along those lines that just anybody of any interest in the game would say should be there. I hated how when they added a new F-Zero stage, they were like, let's just do another Mute City. I'm more pissed off that we've had Port Town in Smash for like over almost 20 years now. There's no Port Town music in Smash. There's no song from Port Town in Smash. We still don't have the champion music from Pokemon Red and Blue. The more we dig into the problems of Smash, the more it feels like a lot of this could be solved if there were simply more people allowed to make decisions. Or somebody to bounce ideas off of. Because I again think that Sakurai having complete and total control over everything with very little input or feedback from other people involved with the creative process has harmed Smash more than it's helped it. Oh yeah, Sonic's one of the worst in terms of content. Like, everybody used to laugh at Final Fantasy, but then, you know, Final Fantasy got Sephiroth and a full set of music and a bunch of Mii costumes and a bunch of stuff, and basically became one of the better third-party franchises in Smash instead of the worst. They took out Right There, Right On. I didn't even notice that until you mentioned it. They made it worse than it was before. No, I know I'm gonna boot up. I'm gonna boot up this. I apologize, you might be hearing a very loud noise in the next 20 seconds. I will swap to it in just a second, give me a moment. Any way to make this game quieter? There we go. Since we were talking about souls earlier, I just assumed it was a problem with sample clearances. There are no Sonic Rush songs in Sonic Generations either. You know what? With the problems going on right now with Sega and their music, I'm kind of concerned that the music selection for the next Smash is going to get worse. If you really think about it. With the lead singer of Crush 40 now threatening to sue. Yeah, we could be having a problem. We could lose Live and Learn and Open Your Heart. That is like a legitimate like concern now. Any particular character mods that stand out to you as good? Stuff like PM, P+, Remix, Ultimate S. I mean, they're all good in their own unique ways because they all, in my opinion, add something fun that no other version has. I think that I stand by a lot of people's belief that PM and P+ is probably the best mod ever made for Smash. Simply just because of the fact that it adds so much, doesn't take away anything, and even adds brand new characters that, in my opinion, are some of the best, that is one of the best, like, fan design characters in the entirety of the series. He didn't live and learn in the third Sonic movie. It'd be really hard. It'd be really bad to lose it now. A version of it is, like a remixed version of it is in the third Sonic movie. I believe. Like around the end, during the Super Sonic and Super Shadow scene. That I had spoiled to me. I have not seen the movie. Oh god. Didn't realize poison. Shit. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. I don't have anything to do with that. One of my biggest pet peeves is people wanting Roy to not return when he's easily one of the best designed stories in the game. He's one of the best designed stories in the game at the cost of being a character that is objectively nothing like he's supposed to be in the actual game he comes from. But when the developers of the game have to go out of their way to make like actual Fire Emblem Roy more like Smash Roy, I think that's a clear sign that they've designed a better character. And that Sakurai improved upon something that was, objectively speaking, one of the worst designed lords in the entire series. Buddy, where are you going? I think the deal is Sega owns the instrumentals, but Johnny Gioli owns the vocals. I wouldn't be surprised. That probably means that the most we're just gonna get, we're just gonna have instrumental versions in crossover games. Can't wait for fucking Sonic's music choice to get worse in the next Smash because of this. Like, it kind of sucks because if you really think about it, Sonic's one of the characters going into the next Smash with like some of the best years between the last Smash Brothers. Like, the Sonic series has been doing extremely well since the launch of Ultimate. All three movies were a commercial success. The third one especially is like the biggest one yet. People like Sonic Frontiers. It sold well. Like, a lot of really good stuff has happened for the Sonic series since the release of Smash Ultimate. So you'd think going into the next Smash that Sonic probably deserves at least a little something. Like, the Year of Shadow is arguably one of the best years that Sega has ever had in terms of content. Since canonically Chrom and Lucina have the same fighting style, maybe if they redesign Chrom to be his own character and he has an aggressive playstyle, then I guess I'd be okay with that. Instead, Lucina would be a good alt costume. Honestly, if they became like a character that split costumes and they had their own unique playstyle, I think I'd like that more too, because honestly, Lucina being the better Marth kind of accentuates a lot of problems with Ultimate's way of designing characters. Marth is, objectively speaking, one of the best designed characters in any fighting game media. A character that's so utterly simple at his core, yet so deep in how well and how much he can do. Yeah, that character's awesome. But Ultimate made him shit. Marth is a character that, in my opinion, is kind of like Captain Falcon, where if Captain Falcon ends up being bad, then they're badly designed, then there's probably a problem with your game. Same with Fox. If any of these characters end up being quote-unquote poorly designed, there's probably a problem somewhere. Like, Marth should not be a bad character. Do you think Sega would leverage Sakurai to do more stuff with them with this newfound success, or is the 2022 dev time a hurdle they can't overcome? I think it's kind of up in the air because Sega is a really fucking weird company when it comes to working on their successes and, you know, making the most of their successes. If this was any other company, I think that Sega would push for Shadow to be in Smash. It's like, hey, we just had this huge year of Shadow. The game that he starred in came out super well. Everybody loves it. It's selling well. Yeah, this character's also been like one of the most requested characters since Brawl. So maybe this is like a good time to put Shadow into the game. If Shadow's an assist trophy again in Smash 6, people have every right to be upset. I think the main reason Shadow didn't get into Ultimate is because of the fact that Ultimate's development time was so much shorter than other Smash games. Longer only by like a couple months compared to like Melee. If you really think about it. I'd at the very least hope we get another Sega character that, in general, not just a Sonic character. Well, I think there's like two characters that you can probably bet on. Technically more if you want to count Persona. I'd say like the safest choice is another Sonic character. And there's a lot to choose from. You got Shadow, you got Eggman, Knuckles. To be honest, I would not be surprised if multiple new Sonic characters happen in the next Smash. If not in the base roster, then at least like one's base roster, the other is DLC. Oh, time for this fight. This fight sucks ass. Why did I roll forward and not sideways? That time I did roll. Oh, I forgot about the range of that. I love Super Monkey Ball. Super Monkey Ball would be a great assist trophy. That's not to like downplay the fact that you want Super Monkey Ball, but they definitely feel like they'd be better assist trophies than playable characters. My most wanted are from Sega are Eggman, Axel Stone, Demi Fiend, and Opa Opa. Opa Opa, that's a deep cut. I don't even know how many fans of Sega that are alive today know what Opa Opa is. How about Hatsune Miku? She's not a video game character. If we want to be technical, she is a fourth party character. Sega, I believe, just has the licensing rights to her video games, and that's it. Sort of like how Sony has the licensing rights to Spider-Man, but they don't own Spider-Man. I think a lot of Sega characters are interesting and definitely could make for interesting Smash characters, but the biggest hurdle, and by that I mean like one of the biggest hurdles, is the fact that Sonic is so poorly represented still, and I think that that needs to be fixed first. I'm in the group that says that Sonic was probably the third-party franchise that deserved a second character first. Like, I feel like there should have been one in Smash 4, but there wasn't. Oppo Oppa ain't happening, I'm well aware, but I'll keep rooting for him. He's also a shmup character that sidesteps the how do they walk issue. I think he could make a good assist trophy. At the very least. A lot of Sega's characters could make for good assist trophies. Considering the fact that Nintendo doesn't want to turn them into actual playable characters. Why am I turning away from him? Am I a fucking idiot? Yes, I am. And I died for it. And before Oppa Oppa makes it in some capacity, and the kids who don't know him just call him Among Us. The original Among Us. Personally, the only other franchise I'm worried about in future games besides Sonic is Final Fantasy VII. Being the only game rep is a bit disappointing, not gonna lie. Well, sadly, with the way Square Enix is and the abundant success of the remakes, I think that I don't see that changing anytime soon. But if it's any caveat, I do think that that makes it much easier to get them back into Smash. I'd love if somehow Hi-Fi Rush got in. Put in Hi-Fi... I was gonna say just assist trophy. That's kind of like the easy answer for characters that aren't the biggest, but definitely deserve to be a part of the game in at least some way, shape, or form. Even if I do think we're starting to get to a point with assist trophies where a lot of the characters included for assist trophies probably deserve to be made into playable characters before a lot of the chosen newcomers do. I'm honestly surprised Frogger isn't a playable character, or at least a stage behind it. Frogger's an interesting character to talk about. And by that I mean I hear nobody ask for him. I know that Frogger's had games beyond just crossing the road. What could you do with Frogger? There's plenty you can do with Frogger. There's been enough games that you can do something interesting with Frogger. Well, shit. Yeah, you can do a ton with well, not a ton, but there's definitely things you can do with Frogger as a character. Make him an assist trophy. That's the easy answer. Just make him an assist trophy. Speaking of assist trophies, who the keep sending me images? I'll look at that later. Speaking of assist trophies, I guess I can announce something here because I'm in a safe spot and I want to show this off. Since I'm glad to have you all here, I wanted, and you're still here, I'm going to give you a little teaser about what you can expect coming very soon. Just a little image that I made. I need to go find it. You're going to be seeing this again, more than likely in the next week. But to commemorate the official launch of Challenger Concept Season 7, I would like to show you what the thumbnail for the update video is going to be. Holy shit, that is big. You should, oh my god, it's still too big. This is the teaser thumbnail for Challenger Concept Season 7. Not every character you see here is what's planned. There's more beyond this. And not every character you see here has a chance of getting their moveset made this year. But this is the teaser that was made. My Discord got to see this like a couple weeks ago. And now the YouTube channel gets to see it for the first time. And when the update video comes out, more than likely the next 3 to 4 days, you'll see it there too. As for who, the first character of the year, in quotes, I know. Technically Shadow came out a week ago, but he's still technically Season 6. The first character that I'm going to be covering in the new year is a character that originally I had no interest in covering, but I made a promise that I would give them a shot, and I can definitely say I gave them a lot more than a shot. Because the next character that is going to get a Smash moveset video is Sukapon. The pink guy on the far left. First moveset of the year is going to be Sukapon. Who's under Sukapon? Minoru and Knuckles. I know that this is a moveset that a lot of people have been expecting. And while sadly Sukapon for like the last year and a half did take kind of a backseat to other characters, I think it's finally time. I needed a character to start the year whose scale was much smaller than the moveset that came before it, because Shadow's project grew so far beyond what I expected it to be that I needed something smaller to start the year and get myself back into things without burning myself out. And I think that Sukapon is the perfect character for that, because his design is inherently very simple. But one of the biggest issues I had with developing a moveset for Sukapon is that I didn't want to stick with the super rigid visual design of... Joy Mech Fight on the NES. And I wanted to do something more interesting and vibrant with the characters' animations. And finding a good balance between, you know, stuff that works and stuff that doesn't is kind of been difficult. But I think I found the right spot. Yeah, no, it just shows Noah, but Mio is a part of Noah's moveset still. I did not change that. It was very difficult to turn Sukapon into a more visually interesting character without turning him into basically a lesser version of Rayman. And that was like the biggest thing, because Rayman more than likely will get a moveset at some point in the future, and I don't want to make Rayman... do not want to make Sukapon Rayman, because Sukapon shouldn't be Rayman. But yeah, one of the biggest things about this new year is that a lot of the characters I plan to cover are characters that I've yet to finish projects for. I am not adding a ton of new characters to the list, because I feel that if I keep adding more onto my plate, chances are very high that I'm going to just burn myself out. So I feel the best thing to do is have a year where I'm dedicated to finishing old things, which is why, like, the number of newcomers, of like actual brand new characters that I've yet to talk about in any capacity on this thumbnail is like 6. That's Knuckles, the Courier, Demoman, Tifa, Lycon, and Rouge. All the others I've talked about at some point in the past, and have been planned for at some point in the past. Also, do not let Dr. Eggman fool you. He is not going to be using the Egg Walker in my moveset. It is not happening. I just need a visual to put him... I just need to put him in something for the visual. Interested to see what Raven Team Leader is about. Best way I can describe it? just creative freedom, the character. I wanted a character that would allow me to be as creatively free as the developers were with like Captain Falcon and Fox. I wonder how you'll differentiate Knuckles from Shadow. Oh, that'll be fucking easy. Knuckles and Shadow are nothing alike. Knuckles also doesn't run into the problems that Sonic does, because Knuckles' strengths were always his strength and not his speed. I mean, kind of, sort of. Imagine Knuckles being a little bit different in terms of how he approaches his combat. Yeah, Knuckles is nothing like Shadow. Even if, you know, Smash Ultimate giving him homing attack for some fucking reason is scarred into my brain. But yeah, a lot of these characters are characters that I plan to do at some point in the past. I don't have an order for what's going to come after Sukapon, so I'm not going to say anything about that. But this year is very much just focusing on things that I've yet to finish, while sprinkling in some new characters to make it, you know, more interesting for people that have been waiting for new content. And, you know, I want majority of the new content to come from new series, like the Rematch series and the Challenger Concept DX series and stuff along those lines. You'll hear more about this in the update video that's more than likely going to come out this week. The script has already been written. I just need to voice record it and just put it together. Majority of my month has been script writing because I kind of want to match or see what I can do in a month like Sakurai did with his channel, because it kind of did inspire me to give that a shot myself. And while I didn't get to put in as much as I wanted to this month because of Shadow's video basically becoming a serious victim of content creep and feature creep, I have completed scripts for at least 3 characters, and I'm not going to say what happens after Sukapon, but this new year is probably going to start slow and then work its way up to more interesting and, you know, in-depth characters later on, because I definitely need to fix my issues with feature creep and knowing when is enough. When something is enough for a video, because I'm not going to say which videos, but there have been at least 2 videos in the last year, not including Shadows, where the videos basically got pushed back constantly because I was almost at the end of production. I looked over the footage and I said, you know what? I think this video needs at least a little bit more of this. Or, you know, this could use a couple more poses. Now, while my new system makes exporting those poses exponentially easier than they were before, because poses used to take 15 minutes each, when on this system they take it a maximum 2.5 to 3, which is 5 times faster. That basically just led to issues of, I have more time. That means more poses. And, yeah, I don't want that this time. I need to get myself into a level of discipline where I get everything I need done and I don't devolve into making 60 extra poses. Because I'm going to tell you right now, for those that have seen Shadow's moveset, recreating the scene from Sonic X where Shadow breaks off his inhibitor rings, frame by frame, was not part of the original design process. But the extra time allotted by the exporting on this system made that something that happened. Because I am a slave to my level of dedication to making things look good. And all that work for poses that disappeared, majority of them disappeared in a fraction of a second. Oh boy, I sure do love content creation. Are you okay with stick figures and character concepts as long as the poses are clear enough? Absolutely. Artistic skill is not something that everybody has. And if you can get your pose across properly, yeah, there's zero problem with that. But yeah, I needed to do something like Sukapon to prevent myself from burning out. I'm at least very glad that the work I put in the Shadow's moveset is paying off because the video is doing very well. It's just going to be very jarring for some people to immediately go from Shadow the Hedgehog to Sukapon. But yeah, I think I can feel my voice starting to give because I have not streamed in a while. And I thank you all for coming out. This is probably where I'm going to end it because I am very hungry. I can feel myself starting to get a headache from not eating. I guess the most I can say is you're going to get the update video first, and then Sukapon will come out not too long after. Both are going to come out before the month is over. Both have already had their scripts fully written. And then once February hits, you're probably going to be seeing a more consistent line of content coming out. But yeah, you're going to hear more about what I have planned for this year when the update video comes out. It's going to be much different from the ones that came before it. It's probably going to be smaller scale. Like, you're more likely not going to have a big cinematic trailer to go with the newcomers that are coming out because, again, this year is focusing on old stuff for the main franchise, for the main series, and giving newer series a chance to, shine and be the new content that I produce. So yeah, chances are high that I'll probably be streaming again the next couple weeks. Probably just doing video games like I did today. I'm glad to see that there was no issues, no frames dropped on anything. Very consistent stream with everything that I played. Maybe I'll install something like Doom Eternal and play that. That'd be fun. I haven't played Doom Eternal in a while. I haven't even finished the second DLC. But yeah, I'm glad you all stuck around till the end. This was basically your reward for sticking around till the end. And you'll be seeing more of me and my content very soon. So take care. Thanks for coming out. And I have to make this joke now because if I didn't, somebody would. Suck upon these nuts.